In a heart-stopping moment at Blue Horizon, Neptune, the star orca, went from performer to predator, attacking his trainer in front of a stunned audience. This shocking incident is just the tip of the iceberg. Around the world, other orcas have gone off-script, turning trained routines into dangerous confrontations. Join us as we uncover 6 terrifying final moments for these orca trainers. A trainer at SeaWorld Orlando was rushed to the hospital after being bitten by an orca. Number 6. Neptune and Maris. Blue Horizon Oceanic Park, located in sunny San Diego, California, was a top destination for ocean enthusiasts. It was very popular for its famous orca performances. The park featured state-of-the-art aquariums, dolphin encounters, and a colorful coral reef display. But the true heart of the park was Neptune, a colossal 20-foot-long, 10,000-pound male orca. His shows drew thousands of visitors each week, making him the park's biggest star and a key source of revenue. Neptune performed 6 incredible shows weekly, always leaving audiences in awe. However, trouble was brewing behind the scenes. Trainers had been noticing disturbing behavior in Neptune. He would thump his tail against the walls of his tank and sometimes flatly refuse to follow commands. Despite repeated warnings from the staff, Blue Horizon management insisted the shows continue, prioritizing the revenue Neptune generated over safety concerns. Among those in charge of Neptune was Maris Ellington, a 27-year-old marine biologist who had worked hard to become his lead trainer. Growing up along Oregon's rugged coast, Maris developed a deep passion for marine life. After earning her degree, she joined Blue Horizon. Maris was proud of her bond with Neptune, so she dismissed concerns about his erratic behavior, confident she could handle it. But not everyone shared her optimism. A senior trainer had raised serious concerns months earlier, citing Neptune's increasing aggression and isolation. The trainer even requested that Neptune be removed from performances, or at least dropped from shows. However, management rejected the request, unwilling to lose their main attraction. Frustrated and unwilling to compromise safety, the trainer quit in protest. However, his lack of professionalism would eventually backfire. By the time of the afternoon show, Maris had already completed an earlier performance. The amphitheater was once again packed with families and children eager to see Neptune. Despite Neptune's unpredictable behavior over the past few months, Maris remained confident. She even reassured her colleagues, saying she believed he was in a good mood that day. Before the show began, the trainers reviewed the signals and safety protocols one last time. As the music swelled and the announcer welcomed the audience, the energy in the amphitheater shifted. The audience of approximately 500 people cheered as Neptune entered the tank, his massive form gliding through the water. The show began smoothly. Under Maris's guidance, Neptune completed his opening routines flawlessly. The crowd erupted in applause as the orca performed his display. For a brief moment, it seemed as if everything had returned to normal. Neptune looked like his usual majestic self. Then came the grand finale, the centerpiece of the show, a synchronized swim between Maris and Neptune. Maris entered the water, and Neptune began circling her. Maris signaled him to perform a jump alongside her, and for an instant it seemed he was going to obey. But suddenly, Neptune veered off course. Without warning, it lunged at Maris, clamping its powerful jaws around her abdomen. The force of the attack launched her body upward, and she briefly surfaced. Above the water, she could hear the horrified screams of the audience before Neptune dragged her back down. The trainers on the platform sprang into action, using distraction techniques to try to calm Neptune. They threw brightly colored buoys and ropes into the tank, followed by a bucket of fish. 2 trainers used long poles designed to gently nudge Neptune away, but its violent movements made safe intervention impossible. As Neptune slammed Maris against the tank walls, her limp body occasionally broke the surface, only to be dragged back down moments later. The audience watched in horror. Neptune finally released Maris. After more than a minute of violent thrashing, her limp body surfaced. Rescue divers quickly entered the tank, bringing her to the deck where medics worked desperately to save her. The injuries were devastating. Several fractured ribs, a punctured lung, and severe blunt trauma to her chest and abdomen. Despite their efforts, Maris was pronounced dead at the scene. Chaos ensued. Visitors were quickly evacuated from the park. Emergency personnel swarmed the area, and the amphitheater was cordoned off within hours. Blue Horizon responded by suspending all orca shows, a measure that later became permanent. The tragedy also had legal repercussions for the park. Maris's grieving parents, devastated by the loss of their only child, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Blue Horizon. The park was accused of negligence, ignoring repeated warnings about Neptune's aggression and isolating him in conditions that increased his stress. The lawsuit also cited inadequate safety measures and management's decision to continue the performances despite the known risks. After negotiations, the case was settled out of court. Blue Horizon's management reached a substantial settlement with Maris's family. As part of the agreement, Blue Horizon committed to supporting marine conservation efforts and funding independent research on the mental health of orcas in captivity. The tragedy shook the marine park industry. Blue Horizon permanently banned orca shows, though it maintained other attractions such as dolphin encounters, aquariums, and conservation-focused exhibits. However, losing its star attraction led to declining attendance and mounting financial difficulties. Within a few years, the park filed for bankruptcy and eventually closed. Neptune was relocated to a marine sanctuary in British Columbia, where he could live in a more natural and less stressful environment. But Neptune isn't the only killer whale that fell victim to captivity, leading to irreversible tragedy. Number 5, Takcoa and Claudia. Loro Parque is located along the stunning coastline of Puerto de la Cruz in Tenerife and is a world-renowned wildlife sanctuary. It boasts over 100,000 square meters of lush vegetation. The park is home to a diverse collection of species and attracts millions of visitors each year. Initially established as a parrot sanctuary, it has evolved into a world-class destination featuring dolphins, penguins, and its most famous residents, the orcas. Among the park's main attractions is the Orca Ocean exhibit, where these majestic marine mammals perform shows that showcase their strength, intelligence, and beauty. However, behind the glitz and glamour of these performances, things weren't quite right. One of the park's stars was Takcoa, the son of Tilikum, a 6-year-old male orca who weighed over 3,300 pounds. Takcoa's impressive size and strength made him a favorite with visitors, but for the trainers who worked closely with him, his story was far more complicated. Orcas, while intelligent and trainable, are still wild animals with instincts and emotions that can be difficult to predict. Takcoa had displayed moments of aggression in the past, but these incidents were minor and never escalated to a major concern. Until one fateful day. Takcoa's early life was fraught with disruption. Shortly after his birth, he was separated from his mother, Taima, who consistently displayed aggression toward him. This behavior was thought to stem from her own traumatic past, including witnessing her mother, Gudrun, attempt to drown one of her calves. Takcoa was instead raised by a more experienced female orca, Kayla, and often paired with his half-brother, Tuar. In 2004, however, Takcoa and Tuar were transferred to SeaWorld San Antonio, where they joined a new group of orcas. This transition, along with her subsequent move to Loro Park, only exacerbated the problems Takcoa faced. She suffered frequent attacks from other orcas, leaving visible scars from countless confrontations. Despite these difficulties, Takcoa grew into a powerful yet unpredictable animal, shaped by her turbulent past, a past that likely contributed to her aggression toward her trainers. One of those trainers was Claudia Bollhard, a 29-year-old marine biologist from Weinheim, Germany. Claudia had always been passionate about marine life and envisioned her work with orcas as a rewarding endeavor. It was like a dream come true. As the only female orca trainer in Europe at the time, she had spent years earning the trust of these incredible animals. On what seemed like an ordinary day, Claudia prepared for another training session with Takcoa. The atmosphere was tense, though she reassured her colleagues that Takcoa was fine anyway. The session was supposed to be simple. Takcoa would push her feet with his snout as they swam together. Claudia was at the edge of the pool when Takcoa approached her, his dorsal fin slicing through the water. Initially, he seemed calm, but something about his movements looked off. Without warning, Takcoa lunged at Claudia, slamming into her chest with incredible force. The impact knocked the air from her lungs and threw her into the water. Before she could recover, Takcoa attacked again, his massive body slamming into her with relentless power. Claudia struggled to regain control, but Takcoa's strength was overwhelming. He dragged her to the deepest part of the pool, 12 meters below the surface. Takcoa's teeth grazed her arm as he pulled her down further. The water pressure made it hard to breathe, and the pain in her chest and arm was excruciating. As Takcoa's grip tightened, Claudia's vision began to fade. Just when it seemed there was no escape, Takcoa released her and surfaced, still holding her arm in his mouth. With one last burst of power, he pulled them both back to the surface. Gasping for air, Claudia tried to stay conscious, but the pain was unbearable. Her colleagues, who had been watching in horror, rushed to her aid. They pulled her from the water and away from Takcoa, who remained in the pool. Claudia's injuries were severe: a broken elbow, a bruised lung, and deep internal trauma. She was rushed to the hospital where doctors worked to stabilize her. Miraculously, she survived, but the attack left both physical and emotional scars that would take much longer to heal. Back at Laurel Park, the reality of the incident began to set in. The trainers and park management understood the risks of working with such powerful animals, but Takcoa's attack was proof of the unpredictable nature of orcas in captivity. In-water training sessions with Takcoa were immediately suspended, and the park implemented new safety measures to protect the trainers. For Claudia, recovery was a slow and challenging process. While her physical wounds gradually healed, the psychological impact of the attack lingered. And, of course, people began to address the issue. Critics argued that the stress and isolation these animals experience in artificial environments contribute to their aggressive behavior. Number 4, Alexis Martinez. Alexis Martinez, a 29-year-old trainer, had been working at a marine park in Tenerife, Spain, since 2004. Over the years, he had developed a strong connection with the animals he worked with, particularly the orcas. However, tragedy struck during a rehearsal for the Christmas show on December 24, 2009, when Alexis was attacked by Quito, a male orca. That day, Alexis was conducting a training session with Quito, preparing for the upcoming Christmas performance. During this session, Quito initially surfaced with Alexis Martinez and appeared calm, giving the impression that everything was under control. However, observers noticed that Quito seemed to position himself between Martinez and the stage, as if blocking his access. Martinez remained calm and waited for Quito to become more composed. He then requested a stage call, which involved an underwater tone signal. Quito responded to the tone, as expected, and swam toward the stage, where he was met by another trainer named Brian. Once Quito arrived on the scene, Brian signaled Martinez to move away from the area and to another designated spot in the pool. As Martinez began to move away, paddling through the water, Quito's behavior changed. The orca began to lean toward Martinez in a subtle but suspicious manner. Sensing that the situation could escalate, Brian attempted to regain control by giving Quito a hand signal, a cue used to redirect the animal's attention. Unfortunately, Quito ignored the command and moved toward Martinez. What happened next was sudden and violent. Quito used his face, the front part of his head, to push Martinez to the bottom of the pool. The effect of the attack was brutal, as it was immediate. Martinez suffered multiple internal injuries, including severe chest trauma. Alexis died from these injuries, and the official cause of death was recorded as massive internal bleeding. The incident shocked those who knew Alexis and raised concerns about the risks trainers face when working with orcas in captivity. A SeaWorld employee detailed the event in an incident report. According to the account, Quito had failed to perform several behaviors or respond correctly during training. The park described Alexis Martinez's death as an accident and claimed his body showed no signs of violence. The park's initial explanation suggested there was nothing unusual about the cause of death. However, after the autopsy was performed, the true extent of the injuries became clear. The autopsy revealed that Martinez had suffered severe damage from the forked stick attack. He died from severe injuries, including multiple compression fractures. His bones had broken under intense pressure. In addition to these fractures, the autopsy report also revealed that Martinez's vital organs had been torn apart. There were bite marks on his body, showing that the forked stick had physically bitten him during the incident. These findings painted a completely different picture from the one the park initially claimed in an attempt to downplay the severity of the event and avoid public backlash. In total, there have been approximately 40 reports from around the world of orcas becoming aggressive and reacting negatively to being kept in captivity. Number 3. Shuka. In July 2012, there was a disturbing incident involving Shuka, a female orca on breeding loan to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. She was originally from Marineland in France. During a show, Shuka suddenly leaped out of the water, knocking her trainer several feet forward. This unexpected and aggressive behavior took everyone by surprise. Shuka didn't stop there. She repeatedly threw her trainer back into the water. The entire incident was captured on video by an audience member watching the show, and the footage was very disturbing. Many critics of marine parks have suggested that Shuka's behavior may have been caused by her lack of companionship. Prior to this incident, Shuka had a companion, a bottlenose dolphin named Merlin. However, Merlin was moved to a different area of the park, leaving Shuka without a companion. Some animal experts and activists believe that the lack of a companion may have contributed to Shuka's frustration and aggression, as orcas are highly social animals and often form strong bonds with one another. Following this incident, Shuka was transferred to SeaWorld San Diego. Number 2. Annette, Eckis, and Shamu. On April 20th, 1971, Annette Eckis, a secretary at SeaWorld, was persuaded to participate in a publicity stunt involving the park's main attraction, a 10-year-old female orca named Shamu. Eckis was asked to ride on Shamu's back as part of the show. Everything seemed to be going well at first, but as the ride was about to end, something went terribly wrong. Without warning, Shamu suddenly threw Eckis off her back. As she fell into the water, the orca grabbed her leg and began pulling her across the pool. The situation became very dangerous when Eckis was trapped in the orca's grip. The court later overturned the monetary award she had been awarded on appeal, and she never received the compensation she had hoped for. Number 1. Peters and Kazatka. On November 29, 2006, a serious and terrifying incident occurred at SeaWorld San Diego. Kazatka, one of the park's 7 orcas, grabbed her trainer, Ken Peters, by the foot during a nighttime show at Shamu Stadium. The orca's grip was so strong that she dragged Peters to the bottom of the tank several times. The audience could do nothing but watch in amazement as this unfolded before them. For approximately 9 minutes, Kazatka held Peters submerged, refusing to let go. The trainer struggled to free himself, but Kazatka's strength made escape difficult. Finally, after what must have seemed like an eternity, Kazatka released Peters, and he was able to swim away to escape her grasp. However, even after letting go, Kazatka didn't stop. She followed Peters as he tried to swim away, and then moved over a net barrier in an attempt to reach him again. This incident wasn't the first time Kazatka displayed aggressive behavior toward Ken Peters. In fact, this was Kazatka's second documented attack on the same trainer. It became one of the most widely reported incidents at SeaWorld, and Kazatka has since been known to be almost as aggressive as Tiracum. Over the years, it has become clear that captive animals in general pose a serious threat to humans, including trainers and staff. These animals are powerful and intelligent. However, their behavior can be unpredictable, especially when confined in unnatural environments. It all comes down to one conclusion: wild belongs in the wild. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share with your friends.